Good afternoon. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another daily episode of the Season of the Rat. Am I coming through? I can't see. Yeah, it looks like I am. Here to bring you all the greatest in news and current happenings. This is one thing I don't talk about whatsoever, isn't it? I don't talk about what's going on whatsoever. And you're not going to catch me talking about what's going on whatsoever. So, yeah, I mean, we're here to talk religion. We're here to talk philosophy. We're here to make up stuff. And we're here to have fun. And lately, I've been having a lot of fun with this Marcionite gospel. And I've been having to do a lot of research. Unbelievable amounts. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure that I'm going out on all the places that I'm supposed to be going out. Looks like it. I got stream on YouTube up. They didn't take me down because I didn't play any copyrighted music. Well, I played copyrighted music that's copyrighted to myself. Looks like I am live on Rumble. No problem. I don't want to hear that. Looks like I am live on Twitch as well. Awesome. I don't have any viewers on Twitch, but if I ever did, they would be able to see me. I'm going to give people a few moments to come in, if they come in at all, and then I'll get started on reading the Marcion Gospel. I had to do some research on it because once you start digging into this and you pull a little thread, everything starts falling apart. Like, there is so much information on the Marcion Gospel that I am just incredibly amazed. It's just incredible. There's so much information on Marcion Gospel. Just for instance, like, there's 3 theories as to how the Marcion Gospel was created. Or not how, but rather when. Like, the standard theory. Now, mind you, all 3 of these theories are highly argued, highly debated, highly contested. The standard theory is that Marcion took the Gospel of Luke, edited it, took out the parts he didn't like, and made his own gospel. That's the standard theory. So the standard theory is the Luke came first theory. And the name of that hypothesis is the patristic hypothesis. Now, there's a second theory where that Marcion's gospel actually came before the Gospel of Luke, and Luke was an edit of Marcion, and it included expansion of the content in Marcion Gospel, and that's the Schwegler hypothesis, named after this guy named Schwegler. Now, there's a third theory that says that they are both independent developments and they stem from the same source material, and that's the Semler hypothesis. Um, After doing some basic reading and looking into all of it, I can honestly say I don't know. I can honestly say I don't know. I have no clue. But there is there is a theory called the priority of the Marcion gospel. Now, the theory is that the original material that was in the Marcion gospel was cycling around, and when it was compiled in a form that Marcion originally read. And then the Gospel of Mark and Matthew derived information from it. And then the Gospel of John derived other information from that source material. And Luke was a hybridization of the four Gospels: Matthew, Mark, John, and Marcion. That's a fun theory. I don't know what it means. I don't know if there's any legitimacy to it. But this is claiming that Marcion's gospel was the first one at least compiled, and all the information that the other gospels derived from was based off of the compilation of the Marcion gospel, or the original gospel, or the gospel of the Lord, as some like to call it. And then, of course, you go into the fact that there is no actual Marcion gospel. We have the book of Luke. We have the book of John. We have it complete, in our complete normal form that we have today with us. The Evangelion, the gospel that Marcion compiled, the Evangelion, is not in a historically preserved form whatsoever. And then there was a writing by Marcion called the Apothesis, something like that. And we only have information on that because there was writings against Marcion. A lot of writings against Marcion. A lot of old church fathers were like, Marcion's a heretic, and here's why. And then they wrote the stuff that Marcion wrote. And it was they were presenting Marcion's arguments and then presenting a counter to it. So we have most of the information of Marcion and his writings. We got most of that from detractors, which I think is hilarious. I wanted to read I wanted to get the purest one that we have, the best one that we have. And apparently this Dieter Roth dude has the best one, but it's $270, and I'm not going to do that. So we're going with the version that I had, but I did find a nice online source that does sort of verify that most of what we have in the version that I've been reading is correct. It's this lady, I don't know her name, but she was putting together This lady named Melissa Cutler, and she's a university English study or whatever. She's got credentials and stuff. Um, but she was putting together what we had as far as the gospel of the Lord goes, as far as Evangelion goes. Let's see. A wonder beyond wonders. All right, so Marcion, rapture, power, and amazement is it that one can say nothing at all about the gospel, not even conceive of it, nor even compare it to anything. That's a quote from Marcion. I'm just reading the website here. I'll bring it up here in just a second here. Okay, just hiding my tabs here a little bit. You guys don't need to see that. There you go. This website is old, very messy. But it's funny looking into these older these like very ramshackle, barely put together websites. This is the stuff. This is what doing research brings you to. Inevitably, it brings you to some circa 2003 looking website, Wild stuff. But I wanted to go ahead and do a little more reading. Yesterday we read the first 4 chapters of the Marcion Gospel. Where are you? And we can go ahead and get back into that. Let's see if maybe I can make this bigger on the screen. I guess not unless I zoom into it. But I can't zoom in. I guess I can zoom in. I lied. Okay. I was just scrolling through the book here, and there's a lot of fun stuff at the end we can go over a little later. Chapter 4, we read chapter 4. And chapter 4 was when Jesus interacted with John the Baptist. And then, all right, chapter 5. And it came to pass afterward that he made his way through every city and village, preaching and announcing as glad tidings the kingdom of God. And the 12 were with him, and certain woman who had been healed of evil spirits and infirmities, Mary called Magdalene, from whom went 7 devils had gone out, and Joanna the wife of Chuza, Herod's steward, and Susanna, and many others, which ministered unto him of their possessions. And when a great multitude were coming together, and they of every city were come to him, he spoke by a parable. A sower went out to sow his seed, and as he sowed, some fell by the wayside, and it was trodden down, and the fowls of the heaven devoured it. And other fell upon the rock, and when sprung up, it withered away. It withered away, because it lacked moisture. And other fell in the midst of thorns. The thorns sprang up with it and choked it. And other fell on the good ground, and when sprung up, it produced fruit 100-fold. And when he said these things, he cried. And when he said these things, he cried, He that has ears to hear, let him hear. And his disciples asked him, saying, What might this parable be? And he said, Unto you it is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of God, but to the rest in parables, that seeing they may not see, and hearing they may not understand. Interesting. No man, when he has lighted a lamp, covers it with a vessel, or puts it under a bed, but sets it on a lampstand, that they which enter in may see the light. For there is no secret thing that shall not be made manifest, nor hidden that shall not be known and come into view. Take heed therefore how you hear, for whosoever has, to him shall be given, and so whosoever has not, even what he seems to have shall be taken away. No man, sorry, it says no hidden that shall not be known and come into view. So take heed therefore how you hear, for whosoever has, so whoever takes heed how they hear, has, to him shall be given. And so whosoever has not taken heed of how they hear, even what he seems to have shall be taken away. And it was told him by certain people which said, Your mother and your brothers stand without, desiring to see you. And he answered and said unto them, Who is my mother and my brethren? My mother and my brethren are these which hear my words and do them. Now it came to pass on one of the days that he went into a ship with his disciples. And he said unto them, Let us go over into the other side of the lake. And they launched forth. But as they sailed, he fell asleep. And there came down a storm of wind on the lake, and they were filling with water, and were in jeopardy. And they came to him and awoke him, saying, Teacher, teacher, we perish. And he arose and rebuked the wind and the raging of the water, and they ceased. And there was a calm. And he said unto them, Where is your faith? And they were frightened and wondered, saying one to another, Who then is this? For he commands even the winds and the water, and they obey him? And they sailed down to the country of the Gadarenes, which is over against Galilee. And when he went forth to land, there met him out of the city a certain man, which had devils a long time, and wore no cloak, neither abode in a house, but among the tombs. When he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell down before him, and with a loud voice said, What have I to do with you, Jesus, you Son of God Most High? I beseech you, torment me not. For he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. For oftentimes it had caught him, and he was kept guarded and bound with chains and in fetters. And he brake the bands asunder, and was driven of the devil into the deserts. And Jesus asked him, saying, What is your name? And he said, Legion, because many devils were entered into him. And they besought him that he would not command them to go out into the abyss. And there was there a herd of many swine feeding on the mountain, and they besought him that he would allow them to enter into them. There was there a herd of many swine feeding on the mountain, and they besought him that he would allow them to enter to them. And he allowed them. Then went the devils out of the man, and entered into the swine. The herd ran violently down the steep place into the lake, and they were choked. When they that fed them saw that what was done, they fled, went and told it to the city and the country. Then they went out to see what was done, came to Jesus, and found the man out of whom the devils were departed, sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. They also which saw it told them by what means he that was possessed of the devils was saved. And the whole multitude of the country of Gadarenes round about asked him to depart from them, for they were struck with great fear. And he entered into the ship, returned back again. Now the man from whom the devils were departed besought him that he might be with him. But Jesus sent him away, saying, Return to your house, and recount how great things God has done unto you. And he went his way, publishing throughout the whole city how great things Jesus had done unto him. The wording on that is a lot more difficult than what I'm used to. And it came to pass that when Jesus was returned, the multitude welcomed him, for they were all waiting for him. And behold, there came a man named Jairus, and he was a ruler of the synagogue, and he fell down at Jesus' feet and besought him that he would come into his house. Besought is like pleading with someone. Like, please. For he had only one daughter, about 12 years of age, and she was dying. And as he went, the multitudes thronged him, and a woman having an issue of blood 12 years, which had spent all of her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any, came behind him, and touched the border of his garment. And immediately her issue of blood stanched. And Jesus said, Who touched me? When all denied, Peter and they that were with him said, Teacher, the multitude throng you and press you, and say you, Who touched me? And Jesus said, Somebody has touched me, for I perceived that power had gone out of me. And when the woman saw that she was not hid, she came trembling, and falling down before him, she declared unto him before all the people for what reason she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately. And he said unto her, Daughter, be of good comfort, your faith has saved you. Go into peace. While he yet spoke, there comes one from the ruler of the synagogue's house, saying to him, Your daughter is dead. Trouble not the teacher. But when Jesus heard it, he answered him, saying, Fear not, believe only, and she shall be saved. When he came into the house, he suffered no man to go in, save Peter and James and John, and the father and the mother of the maiden. And all were weeping and bewailed her. But he said, Weep not, she is not dead, but sleeps. And they left him to scorn, knowing that she was dead. And he pulled them all out, and took her by the hand, and called, saying, Maid, arise. And her spirit came again, and she arose straightway. And he commanded something be given to her to eat. And her parents were astonished, but he charged them that they should tell no man what was done. Well, it was written here, so, they told people what was done. I wonder how many people Jesus healed and told, don't tell anyone, actually kept that promise. Probably a good number, maybe a good number. He's walking through the land healing literally everyone he comes across. Occasionally, eventually, there's going to be some big healing there has to have been some big healing that, like, Jesus was like, don't tell anyone. And the person was like, all right, I won't tell anyone, and didn't tell anyone. We don't have it written. Then he called his 12 disciples together and gave them power and authority over all the devils and to cure diseases. And he sent them to preach the kingdom of God and to heal the sick. And he said unto them, Take nothing for your journey, neither staves, nor scrip, neither bread, neither money, neither have 2 coats apiece. And whatsoever house you enter into, there abide, and thence depart. And whosoever will not receive you, when you go out to the city, shake off the very dust from your feet for a testimony against them. And they departed, and went through the villages in order, announcing the glad tidings and healing everyone, everywhere. Now Herod the Tetrarch heard of all that was done by him, and he was perplexed, because it was said of some that John was arisen from the dead, and of some that Elijah had appeared, and by others that a prophet, one of the original ones, was risen again. And Herod said, John have I beheaded, but who is this, of whom I hear such things? And he desired to see him. And the apostles returned, declared unto him all that they had done. And he took them, and went aside privately into a desert place of a city called Bethsaida. And the multitudes perceived it, and followed him. And he received them, and spoke unto them the kingdom of God, and healed them that had need of healing. When the day began to decline, and the 12 came, and said unto them, Send the multitude away, that they may go into the towns and country round about, and lodge, and fetch victuals, for we are in a desert place. But he said unto them, Give them to eat. And they said, We have no more but 5 loaves and 2 fishes, except we should go and buy food for all this people. For there were about 5,000 men. And he said to his disciples, Make them recline in companies by 50s. And they did so, and made them all recline. And he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. Looking up to heaven, he blessed them, and brake, and gave to the disciples to set before the multitude. And they did eat, and were all filled. And there was taken up that remained to them fragments, 12 baskets. And it came to pass, as he was alone praying, his disciples were with him, and he asked them, saying, Whom say the people that I am? They answered, saying, John the Baptist, but some say Elijah, and others say that one said prophet of the original ones is risen again. He said unto them, But whom say you that I am? Peter answering said, The Christ of God. And he straitly reprimanded them, and commanded them to tell none such a thing, saying, The Son of Man must suffer many things, and be rejected of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be slain, and be raised the 3rd day. And he said to them all, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross daily, and follow me. For whosoever wishes to save his life shall lose it, but whosoever shall lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it. For what is a man profited if he gain the whole world, and lose or forfeit his own self? For whosoever shall be ashamed of me and of my words, of him shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he shall come in his own glory, and in the glory of his fathers, and of the holy angels. But I tell you truly, there be some of those that stand here which shall by no means taste death till they see the kingdom of God. It came to pass about 8 days after these sayings, he took Peter, John, and James, went up into a mountain to pray. And it came to pass, as he prayed, the appearance of his countenance was different, and his raiment white, flashing like lightning. And behold, there stood with him 2 men, which were Moses and Elias, seen in his glory. Now Peter and they that were with him were weighed down with sleep. But when they were fully awake, they saw his glory, and the 2 men that stood with him. And it came to pass, as they departed from him, Peter said unto Jesus, Teacher, it is good for us to be here, and let us make the 3 tabernacles, one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elias, not knowing what he said. But while he said these things, there came a cloud, and overshadowed them, and they feared as they entered into the cloud. And a voice came out of the cloud, saying, This is my beloved Son, hear him. And when the voice came, Jesus was found alone, and they were silent. and told no man in those days any of those things which they had seen. Interesting. And it came to pass that on the next day, when they were come down from the mountain, a great multitude met him. And behold, a man from the multitude cried out, saying, Teacher, I beseech you, look upon my son. For he is my only begotten, and lo, a spirit took him, and he suddenly cried out, and it convulsed him with foam, and bruising him hardly departed from him. And I besought your disciples to cast him out, and they could not. And Jesus answering, saying, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you and suffer you? Bring your son hither. And as he was yet coming, the devil rent him and convulsed him. And Jesus rebuked the unclean spirit and healed the boy, and delivered him again to his father. And they were all amazed at the majesty of God. And as they all wondered at all things which Jesus did, he said unto his disciples, Take into your ears these sayings. For the Son of Man is going to be delivered into the hands of men. But they understood not this saying, and it was hid from them that they should not perceive it, and they feared to ask him about that saying. Then there arose a great reasoning among them, which of them should be greatest. And Jesus, perceiving the reasoning of their heart, took a child and set it next to himself, and said unto them, Whosoever shall receive this child in my name receives me. Whosoever shall receive me receives him that sent me. For he that is least among you all, the same shall be great. John answered and said, Teacher, we saw one casting out devils in your name, and we hindered him, because he followed not with us. And Jesus said unto him, Forbid him not, for he that is not against you is for you. Wow. And it came to pass, when the days of his taking up were being fulfilled, he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem, sent messengers before his face, and they went and entered into a village of the Samaritans, so as to make ready for him. And they did not receive him, because his face was going to Jerusalem. When his disciples James and John saw this, they said, Lord, will you that we command fire to... Oh, wait, all right. Okay. And as James and John saw this, they said, Lord, will you that we command fire to come down from heaven and to consume them, even as Elijah did? But he turned and rebuked them, saying, You know not what manner of spirit you are of. Hey, Subliminal, how you doing? They said, You know not what manner of spirit you are of, for the Son of Man came not to destroy men's lives, but to save them. You didn't see a notification. I wonder why. You have to turn on the bell. Hit like and share. Yeah, I'm not sure why it didn't send you a notification. Not bothered by it. I've just been reading. This is evergreen content. So we could, it'll last as long as it lasts. It's the gospel, It's a different form. Sure, the wording is a little complex. I don't really know 100%. I'm not parsing the words as clearly as I would like to, but we can go back into this and dive into it a little deeper after. They went to another village. It came to pass that as they went in the way, a certain man said unto him, Lord, I will follow you whithersoever you go. And Jesus said unto him, Foxes have holes, and the birds of the heaven have lodging places, but the Son of Man has not where he may lay his head. He said unto another, Follow me. But he said, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. Jesus said unto him, Leave the dead to bury their own dead, but go and preach the kingdom of God. And another also said, Lord, I will follow you, but let me first go bid them farewell, which are at home at my house. And Jesus said unto him, No man, having put his hand to the plow and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of God. Those were chapters 5 and 6. Let's just finish chapter 6 here. I think I'm going to get one more chapter in, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what we read. And after these things, the Lord appointed other 70 also, and sent them 2 and 2 before his face into every city in place. Before his face, I think that means is like a representative into every city and place, whether he himself was about to come. I just realized we're a little too zoomed in. There we go. Therefore said he unto them, whether he himself was about to come. Therefore said he unto them, The harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. Pray therefore to the Lord of the harvest, that he may send forth laborers into his harvest. Go your ways, behold, I send you forth as lambs among wolves. Carry neither purse, nor wallet, nor shoes, and salute no man by the way. And into whatsoever house you enter, first say, Peace be to this house. And if the Son of Peace be there, your peace shall rest upon it. If not, it shall turn to you again. And in the same house remain, eating and drinking such things as they give, for the laborer is worthy of his hire. Go not from house to house, and into whatsoever city you enter, and they receive you. Eat such things as are set before you, and heal the sick therein, and say unto them, The kingdom of God is come near unto you. But into whatsoever city you enter, and they receive you not, go out into the streets thereof, and say, Even the very dust of your city, which clave to us, we do wipe off against you. Notwithstanding, be sure of this, that the kingdom of God is come near unto you. But I say unto you, that it shall be more tolerable in that day for Sodom than for that city. Woe unto you, Chorazin! Woe unto you, Bethsaida! For if the powers had been done in Tyre and Sidon, which have been done in you, they would have repented long ago, sitting in sackcloth and ashes. But it shall be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon at the judgment than for you. And you, Capernaum, which are exalted to heaven, you shall be thrust down into Hades. He that hears you hears me, and he that despises you despises me, and he that despises me despises him that sent me. And the 70 returned again with joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through your name. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning falling from heaven. Behold, I give unto you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. Notwithstanding, in this rejoice not, that the spirits are subject unto you, but rather rejoice, because your names are written in the heavens. In that hour Jesus rejoiced in spirit, and said, I thank you, Lord of heaven, that you have hid these things from the wise and prudent, and have revealed them unto babes. Even so, Father, for so it was well-pleasing before you. All things were delivered to me by my Father, and no man knows who the Father is but the Son, and who the Son is but the Father, and he to whomsoever the Son wishes to reveal him. And he turned unto his disciples and said privately, Blessed are the eyes which see what you see. For I tell you that prophets did not see what you see. That is an intense one. Of course, we get the classic, I have given you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions. Classic line. And so Jesus rejoiced in spirit, saying, I thank you, Lord of heaven, that you have hid these things from the wise and prudent, and you have revealed them unto babes. Even so, Father, for so it was well-pleasing before you. So you're revealing it to retards. Hiding it from the intelligent and revealing it to the dumb. Or the simple, I should say. Simple. All things are delivered to me by my Father, and no man knows who the Father is but the Son, and who the Son is but the Father, and he to whomsoever the Son wishes to reveal him. And he turned him unto his disciples, and said privately, Blessed are the eyes which see what you see, for I tell you that prophets did not see what you see. And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tempted him, saying, Teacher, doing what shall I obtain life? But he said unto him, What is written in the law? How read you? And he answering said, You shall love the Lord your God from all your heart, and from all your soul, and from all your strength, and from all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. And he said unto him, You have answered right. This do, and you shall live. But he, willing to justify himself, said unto Jesus, And who is my neighbor? And Jesus answering said, A certain man is going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and fell among thieves, which stripped him and beat him, leaving him just half dead. And by chance there came down a certain priest in that way, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. And likewise a Levite, when he was at the place, came and saw him, and passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came down to him, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him, and went to him, and bound up his wounds, pouring on oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. And on the morrow, when he departed, he took out 2 denarii, and gave them to the host, and said unto him, Take care of him, and whatsoever you spend more, when I come again, I will repay you. Which now of these 3 seems to you to have been a neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves? And he said, He that shewed mercy on him. Jesus therefore said unto him, Go and do likewise. Okay. Now it came to pass, as they went, that he entered into a certain village. A certain woman named Martha received him into her house, and she had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Jesus' feet, and heard his word. But Martha was distracted about much serving, and came up to him, and said, Lord, dost you not care that my sister did leave me to serve alone? Bid her therefore that she help me. And Jesus answered and said to her, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things, but there is need of one. And Mary chose that good part, which shall not be taken away from her. Cool. It was a very, very dense few chapters. It was just 3 chapters. Chapter 5, Chapter 6, and Chapter 7. But there's a lot of information. And, of course, this isn't like exceptional information. It's in the Gospel of Luke. Like, these are sections in the Gospel of Luke. So it's not like we're not missing any. We're not like getting brand new information. The wording's a little strange, just because I'm not used to it. Hmm. Let's see. Let's get you. Let's get this fixed up here. We're going to go ahead and. Oh, come on. We're going to go ahead and real quick. Trying to fix this up on the spot. It's a little bit tricky. Okay. Oh. So this was a document put together by Mary Cutler, who is an independent researcher, and she took everything that she did this research. She broke it all down. She did the heavy duty lifting to find all the information on Marcion and the Gospel of Marcion, and she put it together online. And I'm mostly going to be using this for verification because there's a lot of a lot of questions. We're gonna just want to make sure I'm reading just generally what is being read. Now, the chapters in the version I'm reading is different than what you would find in the Bible. But the chapters here are just the corresponding verses that would be found in the book of Luke. So, for instance, the women ministers, and it came to pass afterward that he made his way through every city and village, preaching and announcing his glad tidings, the kingdom of God. And the 12 were with them, and certain women, which had been healed of evil spirits and infirmities, Mary called Magdalene, from whom whence 7 demons had gone out, and Joanna the wife of Chuza, Herod's steward, and Susanna, and many others, which ministered unto him of their possessions. So Jesus had like followers of men and women. They all went out. It's very interesting. Anyway, I'm not making any claims about the role of women, but it seems according to this that women had an important role as well in the ministry. Parable of the sower. When great multitude were coming together, and they of every city were come to him, he spake by parable. Right? We did read this. The sower went out to sow his seed, and as he sowed, some fell by the wayside, and it was trodden down, and the fowls of the heaven devoured it. And other fell upon rock, and when sprung up, it withered away, because it lacked moisture. And other fell in the midst of thorns, and the thorns sprang up with it and choked it. And other fell on the good ground, and when he sprung up, it produced fruit 100-fold. And when he said these things, he cried, He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. And his disciples asked him, saying, What might this parable be? And he said, Unto you it is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of God, but to the rest in parables, that seeing they may not see, and hearing they may not understand. What is this? Oh, this is just citing where she got it from. Oh, that's awesome. Verses 11 through 15 is unattested. Oh, so this is taken from Against Marcion, chapter 4, verse Against Marcion, book 4, chapter 19. Right? No man, when he hath lighted a lamp, covereth it with a vessel, or putteth it under a bed, but setteth it on a lampstand, that they which enter in may see the light. For there is no secret thing that shall not be made manifest, nor hidden that shall not be known and come into view. Take heed therefore how ye hear, for whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and whosoever hath not, even what he seemeth to have shall be taken away. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly compare it to maybe the NIV. Right? A lamp on a stand. No one lights a lamp and hides it in a clay jar or puts it under a bed. Instead, they put it on a stand so that those who come in can see the light. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. Therefore, consider carefully how you listen. Whoever has will be given more. Whoever does not have, even what they think they have, will be taken from them. Right. Okay. So there we go. Thy mother and thy brethren. It was told to him by certain people, which said, Thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to see thee. And he answered and said unto them, My mother and my brethren and my brethren are these which hear my words and do them. Now, of course, that's going to be pretty similar to the section in the Bible, which says, Now Jesus' mothers and brothers came to see him, but they were not able to get near him because of the crowd. Someone told him, Your mother and brothers are standing outside wanting to see you. He replied, My mother and brothers are those who hear God's word and put it into practice. Interesting. There's quite a distinction between the two versions. Maybe I'm reading the wrong translation. I'm going to try the NRSV, just because it's one that I trust pretty well. And then his mother, and it says, he was told, Your mother and brothers are standing outside wanting to see you. But he said to them, My mother and my brothers are those that hear the word of God and do it. There's no who are my mother and brothers? She says, Who is my mother and my brethren? My mother and my brethren are these which hear my words and do them. It's it's a distinction. It's pretty crucial. I think so. Like asking, who is my mother and my brethren? Like that's an important question. That when left out is changes a little bit of the meaning. So if someone were to ask, someone were to come to me and say, Rat, your mom's here to see you. And I say, my mom is someone who does my bidding. That's making like a claim on who my mom is. Like, my mom is just someone who, my mom is my mom, but she's someone who does my bidding. But if I say, who is my mom? My mom is someone who does my bidding. That's opening it up. Like, it's opening it up to a wider range of people. Like, who are my brethren? My brethren are those which hear my words and do them. It's not stating that my brethren are people whom hear my words and do them. It's my brethren. Like it. Jesus is talking about James. Like, James is his brother. If he says, my brother is one who does things, who hears my words and does them, he is saying that James is someone who hears his words and does them. But if he asks the question, who is my brother, and then clarifies it further and says, my brother is one who hears my words and does them, he's not saying that James is his brother, because he's not saying that James, as his brother, hears his words and does them. He's saying the people that are his brothers, James included, are those that hear his words and do them. So it's opening it up to more than just his brother. My family are the people who hear my words and do them. Not the blood lineage that I am involved with. Now it came to pass on one of these days, the storm on the lake. And he went into a ship with his disciples, and he said unto them, let's go over to the other side of the lake. And they launched forth. But as they sailed, he fell asleep. And there came down a storm of wind on the lake, and they were filling with water and were in jeopardy. And they came to him and awoken him, saying, Teacher, teacher, we perish. And he arose and rebuked the wind with the raging water, and they ceased, and there was a calm. He said unto them, where is your faith? And they were frightened and wondered, saying to one another, who then is this? For he commandeth even the winds and water, and they obey him. I like that idea of just going up to Jesus and be like, Teacher, teacher, we perish. We die. We're gonna die. It's not even we're gonna perish. Like, we perish. Like, we're in the act of dying right now. We are perishing. We die. And they sailed down to the country of the Gadarenes, and this is the legion of the Gadarenes, which is over against Galilee. And then he went forth to a land. What's up, Roy Rat? How you doing? We're doing a little Bible study on a heretical gospel of Marcion. And he went forth to a land. There met him out of the city a certain man which had demons a long time, and wore no cloak, neither abode in a house, but among the tombs. Is this dude in a cemetery who didn't wear anything and was possessed by a bunch of demons. When he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell down before him. With a loud voice said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God Most High? I beseech thee, torment me not. And then we have a little in parentheses, for he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man, for oftentimes it had caught him, and he was kept guarded and bound with chains and in fetters, and he brake the bands asunder, and was driven of the demons into the deserts. Thanks, Roy. I'm doing well. I'm glad you were thinking about it, thinking about me. What kind of what are your studies? What are you studying? What's the big studying that you're doing? This here's the Gospel of Marcion. Heretical, the heretic Marcion of Sinope. This is deep. Okay, so for he had commanded the unclean spirits to come out of the man, for oftentimes it had caught him, and he was kept guarded and bound with chains and in fetters. And he brake the bands asunder, was driven of the demons into the deserts. Does this mean he was, like, they would arrest him and put him into jail cells, prison cells, and he would break out of prison and go out into the desert? I think that's what it means. I'm going to say it. That's what it means. Yeah. All right. Jesus asked him, saying, "What is thy name?" And he said, "Legion, because many demons were entered into him." And they besought him that he would not command them to go out into the abyss. There was there an herd of many swine feeding on the mountain, and they besought him that he would allow them to enter into them, and he allowed them. And then went the demons out of the man, and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down the steep place into the lake, and were choked. They drowned themselves in the lake. When they that fed them saw what was done, they fled, and went and told it in the city and in the country. I study the same sorts of things. Today, studying a lot of the contradictions and things, different perspectives on the biblical teachings, so appropriate. Awesome, dude. Yeah, I've been getting more and more obsessed with the contradictions lately as well. It's great. There's a lot of there's a lot of meat and depth in the literature, and I really, really, really dig the contradictions and the contradictional aspect of it all. It's so cool. And then, of course, you're studying different perspectives on biblical teachings. Well, have I told you my perspective on the whole thing? It's pretty close to Marcion, but not quite the same. I don't know how much you know about Marcion, but he believed that the God of the Old Testament is not the same God of the New Testament. The Father that Jesus proclaimed is a different entity entirely than Yahweh. Now, I wish I knew more about what Marcion believed, but all of his writings were burned, and most of the stuff that we get from him is actually quotations of him in writings created by his detractors and people who called him a heretic and excommunicated him from the church. So we don't have any like firsthand accounts from him. We're all putting it together, like scholars are putting it together based off of people who did not like the guy, which I think is ironic and funny. There went demons out of the man. All right, yeah. I was raised in a really bad family who became part of an evangelical Christian cult when I was a teenager. And so I've been resolving a lot of those false teachings, so Roy Rat said. Yeah, dude, a story that is very common, a very, very common story. I would love to talk about the false teachings he got. Maybe I'll finish up here the Legion of Gadarenes, and we'll talk a little bit more about false teachings, because that'd be cool. Jesus asked them, saying, "What is it?" All right. They were choked. When they that fed them saw what was done, they fled and went and told it in the city and in the country. So I think this is the farmers. When the farmers of the pigs saw what was done, the farmers ran and told everyone in the city what was done. Then they went out to see what was done and came to Jesus and found the man out of whom the demons were departed, sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. They're like, "Oh man, the village maniac is normal? What's going on?" They also, which saw it, told them by what means he that was possessed of the demons was saved. So the farmers who saw the demons go into the pigs and saw the pigs drown themselves in the river were like, "Yeah, that's how he was saved." And then the whole multitude of the country of the Gadarenes round about asked him to depart from them, for they were holden with great fear. And he entered into the ship and returned back again. Now the man from whom the demons were departed besought him that he might be with him. But Jesus sent him away, saying, "Return to thine own house, and recount how great things God hath done unto thee." And he went his way, publishing throughout the whole city how great things Jesus had done unto him. So Roy says, "I'm a total history dorko. I'm putting all of the things together into the greater global historical context of things, understanding how things actually were at the time." Oh, the name change. Scary. Legally, I'm ordained, but that is a meaningless piece of paper, which is the entirety of the point of my own temple, which I disassociated from, because I started to see how this all went wrong. Legally, so like an ordained, well, I guess Reverend Roy Rat, right? So you're an ordained reverend legally. I mean, yeah, meaningless piece of paper. There's so much to that you just said, like a meaningless piece of paper. There's so much to that, like implied. I like it. I got to figure out how to get Subliminal. If you're still watching, how do you pull up Rumble Chat on Prism Live Studio? Because I'm really dumb. So, yeah, oh, cool. So, what would you consider yourself, Roy Rat? Now, I mean, you're not an evangelical Christian cultist anymore. Do you still proclaim Christ, or do you call yourself something else? Are you more of a are you more orthodox, or are you more heretical? I very, very comfortable referring to myself as a complete heretic. I'm not comfortable with myself calling I'm not comfortable referring to myself as a Gnostic yet. But apparently I'm heading in that direction. That's what everyone tells me. I'm just a follower of Christ, man. All right. Roy says, legally, but the church is a meaningless joke, or was founded as such. And I watched over this last nearly 20 years since, I watched the insidious nature of humans creep in with rules. Yes. Yes. Putting away the gospel for another gospel. Like putting away the true gospel for a false teaching. I see it all the time. It happens everywhere. Let's see. Can't really define my spirituality, which is probably the way it's supposed to be. Probably. How long have you been a well, a reverend, I guess? Because I mean, you went and got yourself ordained as such, but it is a meaningless piece of paper. At what point did you understand? This is like I'm interviewing the chat. It's fine. We have to have a conversation. We'll have to talk because this is all fascinating. All right. There is so much here. Okay. I want to go back to the other version that I had. There you go. Subliminal, come back. Certainly, Roy says, I certainly know there is something. We didn't come from nowhere. Even the most hardened of atheist, physicist, Big Bang philosopher has to admit that singularity that our universe came from somewhere. Oh, you haven't interacted with the most hardened of atheists, have you? No, I'm pretty much cleaning up the show right now. No, we're cleaning up. I read 3 chapters in the Evangelion. No, it's good. It's good. You're fine. You're fine. I read 3 chapters into the Evangelion. I wanted to get about 3 chapters into the Evangelion. And so I did. So good for me. I did it. We read chapter 5, 6, and 7. We have... how many more chapters? 8, 9, 10. I think about 20 chapters altogether in the Evangelion. Yeah, 20 chapters in the Evangelion. So, I've read 5, 6, and 7 today. I want to read 3 or 4 chapters next time I do the stream. I don't think I'll be able to do the stream for a little while because there's Bohemian Grove, which is an event hosted by Nephilim Death Squad. They'll be going on this weekend, and I'll be going there. It'll be going down to Florida for that. I'm going there with a Not Nice Guy who runs his own show, Artificial Dissemination. And then, of course, once we do that, we're probably going to be driving out tomorrow. We'll be meeting up with Connie. I'll be meeting up with Connie in the evening, and then Friday will be the show. Saturday will be the second show, and then Sunday we'll be driving back. So I should be able to start this back up on Monday for sure. Oh, let me get so Roy says, sorry I derailed your whole show. No, you're good. Apologies accepted, but you're fine. It's so damn chatty in chat. That's what it's meant for. Haven't heard of this lost gospel. I've studied many of the others, though, Judas, Mary, Pilate, Thomas, some of the other heretical books. Yeah, no, this gospel of the Lord, or the Evangelion, the gospel compiled by Marcion, the heretic Marcion of Sinope, or the some refer to as the Saint Marcion of Sinope, is very fascinating. It's believed that it's the standard belief in the Marcion Gospel is that Marcion disagreed with the church. He thought that the God of the Old Testament, Yahweh, was an evil tribal culture-specific deity, and there's also a whole bunch of stuff with that involved. It's a huge rabbit hole. And then that the God of the New Testament, the Father that Jesus proclaimed, was a different God. We'll go here. And so Marcion, it's believed that Marcion took the Gospel of Luke, edited it, took out the parts he didn't like, and made this book, the Evangelion, or made this Gospel, the Evangelion. You call it. Marcion's actually the first person ever to put together a New Testament, like a New Testament Bible, and this is his This is a recreation of that. I've been deep diving as much as possible to make sure that this is actually the recreation of that very first Bible. Seems decent so far. I haven't found any major contradictions besides the fact that the wording is so fucking hard to read. But that's okay. Marcion put this together in the 2nd century, and the first Bible to come after this was created in the 4th century, almost 200 years later. So yeah, I like to study history and culture and the anthropological side of the origins of books. The cult I was in was an Open Bible Pentecostal, which was basically snake handler Pentecostal cult light. No snakes. Interesting. Oh, fun. Oh, you guys were calling upon the Spirit of Yahweh and letting him come in during worship. That's for sure what was going on. So the Marcion Bible is very short. It's much shorter than other books. It's just the gospel. It's the Evangelion, or the Gospel of the Lord, or just the one true gospel. And then it's 10 letters written by Paul. It's 11 books altogether. As you can see here, only 230 pages or so. To about 250 pages altogether. Well, this book is about 250 pages altogether. They get a little funny in the post Bible like breakdown of it. It's kind of it's funny. But we could get into that another time. But like I lost my train of thought. So the gospel is very simple, very very stripped down, very efficient, I should say. And the point of it, Marcion's goal, was to make a distinct separation between Judaism and Christianity. It was like he wanted a hard line between the two. He wanted Christians are not Jews. But of course, all of the early Christians were Jews, so of course they'd hated him. All right, the context of the New Testament, in particular the timing in which it really became a movement, wasn't with Yeshua, who I do believe was a real human person, but with Paul. Yeah. That's true. Marcion believed that Paul received the true gospel from Jesus. And Jesus, of course, was a real person, confirmed, like, historically there was a guy that got crucified. Let's see, the Pauline epistles and ministry in the context of the time and the manner in which Greeks conducted their religious practices, etc. Well, it's sus, huh? So going into the stuff about Paul, it's believed that because of Marcion, the letters from Paul to the churches around Rome, the creedal Bible, which you find with the Codex Sinaitica, and you find the Codex Vaticanus, because of the work of Marcion, the letters of Paul are in those Bibles. Because of the work of Marcion, the letters of Paul are in our current Bible. Let's see what it really comes down to in an anthropological human behavior context. Paul was a geeky Greek who formed a Yeshua spiritual club, who would hold dinner meetings to discuss the rules of their game and make up new rule books. Yeah. I mean, if you just boil it down to exactly what it is. And new ranks and new titles and positions and funny hats and symbology and all the nerdiest of nerdly revisions, canonizations, and what's in, what's not, etc. Poof, you get a religion. Paul didn't form the Roman Catholic Church, though. Paul was well, I mean, you would be more of a history subject buff than I would. Now all of a sudden people are fucking murdering each other over that shit. Well, it wasn't all of a sudden. Right? I mean, they were murdering people about that stuff like pretty much right after Jesus. But yeah, I can agree. I can agree with a lot of what you're saying. And we would, of course, it's a lot of historical stuff. I'm not great on history. I'm only getting into it right now because of the Evangelion and the Marcion, the Apostolicon. What I do know is that because of Marcion, the letters of Paul are in the Bible. Because of the heresy of Marcion. He promoted these so much, and the Marcion church had gotten so big at the time that it wasn't until like these Catholics, these Constantinian bishops were put together and decided on what rules, what's allowed, and what's good to go, and what's not good to go. They all decided what was allowed, and it was ordained by imperial edict. And because it was decided that way, Marcion and his followers, the followers of the Marcion Church, they were excommunicated, banished, and told to change. But it was because of that the letters of Paul actually became so much more influential than what they would have otherwise been. Because Paul is essentially, he was a Jew that decided to he took on the route of the Gentiles. You know, he took on the route of preaching to the Gentiles. Which is all right. So then Reverend says, which is why I disassociated with my own later satirical but lawful ordainment, the Temple of the Jedi Order. Ah, so that's what you were ordained with, the Temple of the Jedi Order. Well, I don't know why you would choose the Jedis, because the Jedis are Buddhist pagan weirdos, but I support it. I support it. Hi, Nancy. You're coming in here at the end. I have already read chapters 5 through 7. Yes, I read chapters 5, 6, and 7. There's actually some rather large disparities between this and the book of Luke. There's a Yeah, I know that. Roy, that Paul was roughly a teenager when Jesus was executed by crucifixion. I won't call him Yeshua, by the way. And then you came and derailed the show. You made it a little more interesting. We're talking history now. I do want to get Subliminal back here, so you could tell me how to put the chat up on the stream screen, so that I could show that I'm not if someone comes in and watches it later. Maybe someone will watch it later. They won't be completely confused as to what I'm talking about and who I'm talking to. But other than that, it's all right. All right. But we got to get back to the book of Marcion. I know. The history of Paul is extremely fascinating, and the history of the church just in general is extremely fascinating. But the book of Marcion, now, this shit's fascinating. At least to me. I talked about it at the beginning of the stream, at the start of the stream when Noah was here, but I'll talk about it right now. There are actually 3 theories about this book of Marcion. There are 3 theories about the Gospel of Marcion, and the most common theory is that Marcion's Gospel was an edit of the Gospel of Luke by a process of reduction, like taking things out that he didn't like. Right. You call him Yeshua because that would have been his historically accurate name, not for the spiritual reasonings of the churches. I call him Jesus because that's the translation of his name. Yeah, it's the Latinized version of the guy's name. Yeah, no, that's why I call him Jesus, the Latinized version of his name. That most definitely was not his name in Jerusalem. No, for sure. They didn't speak English. I speak English though, so I'm going to refer to him in English. That's why. No other reason. Actually, really no other reason. There's 3 theories. There's 3 theories about the Gospel of Marcion. You completely derailed the show, by the way. I am no longer going to acknowledge you, Roy. You've ruined my show. Absolutely spoiled it. I think you've got that backwards, Roy. When I hear anyone talking about Yeshua, they only refer to Yeshua as a religious messianic figure. That's what I hear. Jesus is also the same, but it's just the English name of him. But I don't know anyone who refers to him as Yeshua and is not speaking in a profoundly incorrect reverential way. Except you. You're the first. And of course, Jesus would be Jesus would probably be more of an accurate way the Greeks would refer to him. Yeshua would probably be more the way that the Israelites would refer to the Jews would refer to him. Yeshu. Okay. Let me get over the 3 hypotheses, and I'm going to end the stream. And I'm banning you, Roy. If I meet a man today from Mexico and his name is Jesus, do I call him Jesus to his face too? No, because I'm part Mexican myself, so I have that excuse. I have that excuse. It's a good excuse. Okay, I'm going to cover the 3 hypotheses of the Gospels of Marcion. Then I'm going to end this stream because I'm hungry. There are 3 hypotheses on the Gospels of Marcion and Luke. The first hypothesis is that Marcion is an edit of Luke. Essentially, the idea that Marcion took the Gospel of Luke, cut out the parts that he didn't like, and produced the Gospel of Marcion, or the Marcion's Gospel. The second hypothesis is that the Gospel of Luke came after the Gospel of Marcion, and the Gospel of Luke was an edit to the Gospel of Marcion by putting a whole bunch of stuff in. And then the third hypothesis, which I actually think I subscribe to the most, the third one is that Marcion's Gospel and the Gospel of Luke were both independent developments of a common proto-gospel. Now, at the time, people weren't writing everything down. People were writing things down on essentially note cards. Most of the stories that were spread around were spread orally and through performative reenactments. So most of the story was all, there was no one like walking with Jesus and documenting it all. It was done through communication. People wrote things down that they heard. People wrote things down that they saw. And there were a whole bunch of different writings everywhere. And they were passed around, pamphlets, flyers. There was no book at the time of Jesus. Luke researched this a whole bunch. Marcion researched this a whole bunch. And they all got together. Well, they didn't. They got together separately, but they grabbed the resource material and put together the Gospels that they had. And that the same process was done in the book of Mark. The same process was done in the book of Matthew. The same process was done with the book of John. And we know this because of information that is shared between the Gospels. The book of Marcion possibly predates the other books, but only because it is information that all the books have derived their information from. The person who wrote the Gospel of Luke was not there. The person who wrote the Gospel of Mark was not there. The person who wrote the Gospel of Marcion was not there. Because that's just how it was. Like, they're passing around notes, they're passing around flyers, they're passing around information, and people are putting it together. And we have five different Gospels, all documenting the life and history of Jesus. 5 different Gospels documenting the life of this Jesus character. And it's just interesting. It's just very, very, very cool stuff. There's an idea that Marcion has priority. I think that's a little far-fetched. But in the 24, I'm going to read straight from Wikipedia. In his 2014 book, Marcion and the Dating of the Synoptic Gospels, Marcus Vincent considers, like Klinghardt, that the Gospel of Marcion precedes the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. He believes that the Gospel of Marcion influenced the 4 Gospels. Vincent differs with both Badun and Klinghardt, and that he believes the Gospel of Marcion was written directly by Marcion. Marcion's Gospel was first written as a draft, not meant for publication, which was plagiarized by the 4 canonical Gospels. This plagiarism angered Marcion, who saw the purpose of his text distorted, and made him publish his Gospel along with a preface called the Antithesis and 10 letters of Paul. Marcion priority also implies a model of late dating of the New Testament Gospels to the 2nd century, a thesis that goes back to David Trobisch, who in 1996 in his habilitation thesis, accepted in Heidelberg, presented the conception or thesis of an early uniform final editing of the New Testament canon in the 2nd century. In a study published in 2015 book in German, Matthias Klinghardt had changed his mind comparing to his 2008 article in which he had said that the Marcionic Gospel was based on the Gospel of Mark, that the Gospel of Matthew was an expansion of the Gospel of Mark with reference to the Gospel of Marcion, and that the Gospel of Luke was an expansion of the Gospel of Marcion with reference to the Gospels of Matthew and Mark. In that 2015 book, subsequently published in English, Klinghardt shared the same opinion as Badun and Vincent on the priority and influence of the Marcionite Gospel. Like Vincent, he proposed that the Gospel of Marcion preceded and influenced the 4 canonical Gospels. Klinghardt and Badun reaffirmed their opinions in 2 2017 articles. The Marcion priority hypothesis implies the dating of the New Testament Gospels to the mid-2nd century, a thesis that goes back to David Trobisch, who, in 1996, in his habilitation thesis... Yes, I'm repeating myself. Yeah. Okay. All right, let me catch up with Roy. See, you say, I laugh at myself in spite of myself. I use Yeshua since the name Jesus has been and was and is weaponized against me, externally and internally. So using Yeshua helps me differentiate. Okay. Hey, all right. And maintain my own clarity between the two. All right. Biblical religious figure and the historical figure, for me, and I have found for some others, my own differentiation can help maybe in an associated way. I don't have good answers to the spiritual. Yeah, I don't have good answers to the spiritual matters. Spiritually, I've actually taken some of my thoughts from studies, both religious and scientific, and move towards something of a blend of the two. All right. Well, I had this long discussion with Not Nice Guy the other day, and it was a matter of I was having this discussion with Judy, and it was a matter of living in the spirit and living in the physical. And if you live 100% in the spiritual, you will fall into error. And if you live 100% in the physical, you will fall into error. And the reason why I say this is very simple. There's no spiritual reason why you shouldn't put your hand in fire. But there are physical reasons why you don't touch a hot oven. If you don't understand the difference, you will touch a hot oven and you will burn. There's no physical reason why you shouldn't steal a mango from the mango cart. There's no physical reason why you shouldn't just take things from someone. There's no physical reason why you shouldn't call someone a bad name or curse them or hope negative things happen to them. There's no physical reason why you shouldn't do that. There's a spiritual reason. And if you ignore the spiritual reason, you will fall into error. So Roy says, kind of a naturalism with all things being connected, the physics of conscious energy in our brains that we are just only beginning to understand. Would you say that, because I heard this guy, another Rumble streamer named Physics, I was watching a stream he did with my friend Conspiracy Extremist, and he was saying that he is a pantheist, meaning that he thinks that God is the universe. God is a detached entity, and things that happen within the universe are things that happen within God. Like, pantheism is this idea that God is everything. Is that kind of close to where you stand, or is that not quite it? The ways in which our natural world is connected in physical ways that the biblical writers thousands of years ago, over thousands of years, simply cannot explain rationally. You'll have to expand on that. I don't know what you mean. She says, I'm not sure if there's a direct consciousness of our universe or not. Lately, I've been thinking about things on matters of scale, like you were saying. Yeah. I think the idea is fascinating. I don't think it take things to an atomic level and our universe is mostly empty space. Right. If we take things to an atomic level, yes. I think my opinion is that I'm going to show you something silly. I'm going to pull up something silly, and it's not going to make any sense because it doesn't make sense to me. But I'm going to do what I can. All right. I'm going to... Okay. Now let me fix this. Okay. what we have is, this is an audio. This is a piece of audio. Now, what we're seeing is a waveform extremely zoomed in. Now, it doesn't mean anything to anyone. This is between 1540 and 1640. This is a thousandth of a second. What we see is a few dots making a waveform. If I play it, oh, that didn't work how I wanted it to. Anyway, when you zoom in, you don't see anything, because that's how vibrations work. If you look at it in close, it's movement. Vibration is movement. If you zoom in, you will see spaces between the movement, much like the way you see spaces between atoms. It isn't until you zoom out that you start to see the definition of the waves, right? And then you get chunks and chunks of music, or sound, rather. Or what did I do? There we go. Because when you're looking for space in between nothing, you expect that to mean, I think we expect that to mean more than what it is. We look at the space in between the dots on a wave, and like, we don't see, I see different dots on this wavelength. I'm looking at it the thousandth of a second, right? I don't see the line that these dots create, but that doesn't mean they're not there. Okay? Now, because I don't see them, they're not represented visually in the medium that I am looking at, it doesn't mean that they aren't there, the spots between the waves. But they're there. And you actually see the definition when you start zooming out. So I don't think that there being mostly empty space when you look at an atom means much, because we are looking at it through the faulty medium in which we can visualize it. It doesn't mean that there is nothing there. It just means that we don't have the ability to visualize the thing that is there. This program has a few dots. I can even mess with the dot. You know, I can draw. Right? I can actually mess with the waveform. Right? And it's changing the line. What's up, Curtis? Welcome. Apparently, there was no notification that went out that my stream started, which is unfortunate, because I've been going for 2 hours now. Yeah. Oh, let me. All right. Well, I caught what you said, empty, and I went off on that. I didn't actually read it. Whatever else you were saying, and you say a lot, so apologize. Our views is mostly empty space. Now, you did not say empty to us. You added the to us after, but I'll accept it. Now think of things on a scale. To 1, your gut bacteria, your body is the entirety of that individual life form. It is born with its own DNA, utterly distinct from ours, lives, eats, expels, etc., replicates, dies, and is either recycled or expelled out into the greater universe to be utilized elsewhere. That bacteria, as far as we know, has no idea that the top of its existence is in us, controlling essentially everything about the bacteria's universe. And then I distracted you with waveforms. Like a fractal, the scale goes up, the scale goes down, and what we said, and what we define as solid, liquid, gas, other forms is not even what we think it is. Okay, I don't know what you mean by that, but I'm not really thinking about it right now. As I said, mostly empty to us. You added the to us after, you cheater, lying cheater. To a hydrogen atom, most everything is empty space, but to a quark inside of a hydrogen atom, in the even smaller particles, Higgs boson, etc. Right. Well, and then you scale things way up, and our galaxy is a solid object. Well, what I'm saying is that we assume that it's mostly empty space, but that's because our mathematics imply that emptiness. And we assume that it's mostly empty because the visualizations that we've given it are empty. But like the space between these dots on this waveform, I assume is empty because I can mess with these dots. But it's only actually zooming out we see the implied line that the dots create. And so if it's an implied line, that line is there. We are actually talking about the same thing. Yeah. I mean, but the only difference is that I'm saying that the empty space is not meaningful if it's even empty. Does that make sense? You try this on a more human scale. It's really hard to try to squeeze all of this into such tiny spaces so quickly. That's why I'm saying you don't have to do this. Roy, you could stop at any time. Hi, JC. Glad you could join us. We're talking about, well, I was talking about the Book of Marcion, but now I'm talking about atoms and subspaces and empty spaces. What I understand is if we're to believe that the quark is a waveform or some vibration, then everything derives from that vibration. If this little spot, right, or if this little spot between here and here, right, if this little spot between here and here is just 1,000th of a second, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 8,000ths of a second. That little spot there is a vibration, and the rest of the piece is made up of those vibrations. Then it doesn't matter to me that we can't see the space in between those spaces, or we can't perceive the space in between those spaces. See, an oxygen molecule atom is permeable within our lungs, passes right through our membranes. But if I concentrate and chill those same exact O2 molecules, I get oxygen ice, a solid. So when I say mostly empty space, that is what I was getting at. No, I still think it's dumb. I agree with you, but I think the whole thing's dumb. It says permeable. Is it? Have you ever studied the wave cycles of the sun and the influence of that on human history? It's pretty wild. No, I don't. I don't. I don't. I'm not a sun worshiper. I don't look at the sun. I avoid it at all costs. Stay inside as much as possible. Close the windows. Close the blinds. I avoid everything sun related. Now, if we talk about the moon, now we're getting somewhere. It's not until we zoom out do we start seeing things that matter relevantly. Oh, were you not talking about worshiping the sun? My bad. We don't get the music. We don't get the music until we see it at a distance. Oh, you could put the moon there. All right. We don't get but what my point is that zooming in to see the individual dots on the waveform and then saying there's nothing in between those dots is silly. Because there is an implied line that these dots create. I don't need to go in and draw an actual line connecting these dots to know that there is a line that these dots create. And that line that those dots create is not nothing. It is something. It is existence in between the dots. So what I'm saying is it's not nothing. There is existence between the dots. The dots create the line in which that existence lives in, for lack of a better term, exists in. That existence exists in, right? Those dots create that line for that existence to be. Just because I don't see that line does not diminish the fact that existence is there. It just means that I can't see the line. All right, and then you're going to talk about some sun worship stuff again. Talking about how, say, if you extrapolate out the solar cycles, there is a direct correlation and very arguable causation. For what? Correlation and causation for what? On human history? Oh, it's like if the sun gets colder, we get colder? The sun is right there. Like it's what warms us up. That's all. It's just semantics, right? But I just don't like the idea that it's empty space. That's the only thing. The idea, using the term empty space implies there's nothingness in between us. Yeah, no, you did lose me in that point. But I was making a completely different point too, and you were talking about something probably much more profound and interesting that I got lost up in because honestly, I'm just reading stuff and going off, and my brain's going off. We probably mostly agree on most things. Yeah. I don't want to win, Roy. I think you win. You win because you win because you turned this whole stream into the rat talks to rat stream. I just don't use the word empty anymore. The rat talks to rat stream. But expand upon the solar cycles correlation and causation. So you're talking about human history, right? No, it isn't a competition. What's the rat chats with rat stream? The rat talks about rat stream. The rat talks with rat stream. Well, it isn't about winning, but you declared that I won. I don't mean to offend you. I don't know what's going on, JC. JC. No, Roy, I don't mean to offend you. I've got a thought. You triggered a thought. I wanted to expand upon that thought. And the thought was very intriguing to me to expand upon. So I wanted to go at it and aggressively go at it and tackle this thought. Because that's what it is. It's a thought that I wanted to tackle. And I tackled this thought, and you helped me think about this thought. And I wasn't using it as a way to one-up you, but it was a way to enforce or inform the way that I think about this thought that I have. It's not an argument. You triggered my brain in a way that was intriguing to me, and I went down that path. Now, I wanted to struggle against the ideas that you presented, and I struggled with them in the way that I did. I didn't mean to offend you, and I'm not arguing with you. I just think it was very intriguing. It was a very intriguing thought that it was a little path that I went down and thought about. That's all. I wasn't intending to argue. I was just going off on this thought. That's all. And then you say you lost me on the meaning of scale in our universe and who or what or could or could not be in control of it. We were talking about this idea of pantheism, pantheism, right? We were talking about scale. A spiritual meaning behind our place and scale within the universe that is outside of our own heads and front doors. Yes. Yes, we were talking about that. We'll go back here. What is the spiritual meaning behind our place and scale within the universe that is outside our own heads and front doors? I guess I'll try and go back to the thought I had before I got distracted with the other thought. The idea of pantheism or the universe being God, and there's like a universal will, and everything that exists is God, and stuff like that. Like, I don't necessarily disagree or agree with it, if that makes sense. I do believe that logically there was a step A, because we're in steps, we're in steps, whatever it is, like the step we're in right now. If we consider that we're in step X or Y or even a numeral like step number 50 billion or whatever step we're in right now, we can logically deduce that there was a first step. There was a step 1. And, everything is made up of something. Something has to make up everything. And because something has to make up everything, we have to go back to what it is that something is. And simply without this element, there can be nothing else, and this element is existence, or conceptualization, or an idea, or a format. Because we have to go back to that to understand that everything else is derived from a format, from an idea. Everything else is derived from existence. Nothing can be that doesn't exist. Everything has to exist. And so if we look at that point of existence, we look at that idea, that concept, that format of existence, derive from existence what we have, we can point to existence and say, that is. We could say, we can ask, is that God? Is existence God? Or does God come from existence? Or do our conceptual... All right, so every single time we try to conceptualize God, the human mind is in such a way that even the process of conceptualizing God is creating an idol of what we know is the highest power. So when I try to conceptualize existence, I am making a thing that is derived from existence itself. I cannot conceptualize existence or the concept of existence without pulling from existence. So because we're here, because we know, because we are aware, because we are self-aware and aware of what's around us, we are only able to perceive these things because it all exists. So is God in everything? Well, if you pull the concept of God being existence from existence, yes, God is everything. All right, now put yourself in the scale of bacteria living inside your guts and try to conceptualize the mind that created your existence. Well, no, again, like I just said, conceptualizing the mind that created my existence is creating an idol of whatever it is that created my existence. I'm unable to do so. I don't have a brain big enough for it. Now, is that a bad thing that I'm creating an idol to represent the format in which I was made? I don't know. I don't know if it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. Could be. But I have to acknowledge that it is an idol that I'm creating. All definitions of God are an idol of God. It's a mind idol. It's a mental idol. It is a shadow of what it is. It is a shadow of existence. The creation of existence is a shadow of existence. No, I do not. I did not say worship the mind that created your existence as a bacteria inside your intestines. I don't know where you got that from. I didn't either. I'm saying conceptualizing the mind, trying to conceptualize the mind that created my existence is creating an idol of the mind that created my existence. So you are a gut bacteria, you don't make idols? I'm not a gut bacteria. I have a little bit more... I only know that I'm not gut bacteria because my mind tells me I'm not. And that's all we have. So, like when we're talking about the mind and stuff like that, like all we have is our mind. The fact that our mind tells us we're not gut bacteria is what tells us we're not gut bacteria. I do know I have gut bacteria. Probably a few parasites too. Probably a few other things in there too I won't mention here. But JC, you're right. An egregore. It's a concept. No, did I say worship? I hope I didn't. I didn't mean to say worship. Whenever we try to create, whenever we try to conceptualize the mind that created us, we are inevitably creating an idol of the thing that created us, because it is not the thing. The gut bacteria knows it is a gut bacteria and does gut bacteria things. But if I were a gut bacteria, I would know I were a gut bacteria. So I'm not. No, you're misconstruing what I am saying. I'm not saying idolize. I'm saying an idol. It is a substitute for what that is. I cannot conceptualize the actual thing that created us. I cannot conceptualize actual existence. The creation of the concept that I have for existence is derived from existence itself. It is not existence itself. I'm gut bacteria trying to conceptualize what I am. I'm not gut bacteria. If I were gut bacteria, you said gut bacteria knows it's gut bacteria and does gut bacteria things. I'm not gut bacteria. It is a little semantic. What do you mean? I'm not arguing. I'm thinking. If it wanted to be an argument, well, because words matter. Reverend Roy Rat, like semantics and words are important. Words do matter. The words you're saying matter. If you're saying something that you don't mean, don't say it. Like words are important. That's why translations are so important. I don't know what you mean by this. It's like, that's why we have to come to a like an understanding of what we mean by the words that we say to each other. That's why I'm trying to explain the word. I'm trying to explain what I mean when I say an idol. It is a creation. It is a me. I created this and this thing. It is a creation to represent something else again. That's what an idol is. You say that the gut bacteria cannot conceptualize. What are you saying? What about the gut bacteria is so important and foundational for your argument? I'm not following. You have to understand. I'm retarded. You want me to pretend I am a bacteria living in my gut, and I'm trying to explain and rationalize my own existence. Pretend I'm gut bacteria in my own gut and try to explain and rationalize my existence. I'm not a biologist, so I'll do the best I can. Because semantics are important to me, Roy. Words matter to me, very much so. If you say something and I misunderstand you, it's because of a word that you used that I didn't keep up with you. That's why I don't want to misunderstand you. That's why I'm such a stickler for semantics. All right. So pretending I'm a bacteria living in my gut and I am trying to explain and rationalize my own existence. If I were to pretend I were a bacteria in my gut, the point of my existence would be to do the things that the bacteria I am. This is what I'm doing, Roy. I'm asking about specific words and I'm talking about them through and through so that I understand. That's why I'm going on about semantics. I want to be on the same page as you. Okay, pretending and trying to explain and rationalize my own existence, I'll do the best I can. I'm working with the brain I got. I'm doing bacteria stuff. What do you mean I'm getting it? I'm doing bacteria stuff. I don't need to explain and rationalize my own existence because my existence is defined by the actions that I'm doing. If that's what you're getting at, well, nothing you said up to this point is leading me down that path, that way so far. But if that's what you're getting at, I like it. Oh, the delay is catching us. Yeah, I don't know how big the delay is. Sorry, let me take a look. I'm going to try and see what my delay is. Oh, is there an NDS Chronicles right now? Shit. Oh, well. Watch my content. It's better. Oh, I raised my hand so I could see exactly how long it is. Oh, it's a solid 30 seconds. My goodness, I'm arguing with you 30 seconds ago. All right, well, no matter. Anyway, your bacteria, Roy, how dare you? You'll have to explain what you mean by the word meaningful, Roy. Because we can go on for hours about that one word. And I will not get to the point that you're trying to get at. Because meaningful doesn't mean the same thing to anyone as it means to anyone else. So I do have to get semantic on this because meaningful, what I see as utilitarian use of bacteria is perfectly meaningful. I will give you 30 seconds to respond. "30 seconds, Roy. Respond." Don't take anything I say seriously. Pick a goddamn meaning. Well, I did. I picked the meaning about 15 seconds ago, so you're fine. This is all very silly. I got to keep the conversation going though. I can't just keep like that's the thing though. So you're wanting me to talk like whatever. All right, whatever a fucking meaningful life means to a fucking bacteria, so it feels like its life is worth living as it dies, then go from there. Holy shit. The utilitarian use of the bacteria, my utility as bacteria processing and just processing the material that I process is meaningful to me. And that is a life worth living. And as I die, I will die knowing I did what I was created to do. That's what meaningful means to me. And that's what I think meaningful would mean to me as a bacteria. But as a bacteria, I don't feel the need to understand what has given me life, because life as I have sustained it is the processing of material into other forms of material and sustaining myself off of the entity in which I reside. You have to give me more less contentious things to think about if you want me to talk for a whole 30 seconds. Otherwise, I'm like arguing with you from 30 seconds ago, and it's not doing me any good right now. Just answer. You don't have anything? You didn't give me much. All right, you say, there you go, you just answered all your own questions about your own existence on a matter of scales of existence. I don't have anything else to give you. I was arguing with myself. No, I wasn't arguing with myself. I wouldn't have had any of these thoughts and arguments, which I wholly disagree with, by the way. Wholly disagree with. You gave me really strange theoreticals. I could play it back. I was talking to you. I was talking to you from 30 seconds ago. So my argument said that it's just how it is. Like you distracted me from having thought puzzles and thought experiments. And then you wanted to have a strict response and call and response, sort of back and forth dialogue, and we had a time delay, and then you tried to clarify things that made sense to you at the time, and then I asked questions about what you said that made sense at the time, and then the ultimate point was that we don't have to understand why we're here, but the utilitarian use of our existence is what gives us meaning. I mean, if you're happy with that, you can totally be happy with that. I'm not. I mean, I'm gonna create. I will create strawmen of you, because you're trying to create strawmen of. I actually don't know what you're trying to create. I don't know what you're trying to say. We can go back to the waveform. We want to talk about the waveform? I have my own answers. The chat will be lost. Yes, it will be. But no one's going to watch this. It's fine. We're done reading the Book of Marcion. We've been done reading the Book of Marcion an hour ago. I got nothing else to go on. You sidelined sidelined the whole stream. I had a whole subject I was talking about and everything. Now I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. I mean, it is all the same thing that I'm a part of. The only difference is that I know I can conceptualize the waveform, and I don't know if the waveform can conceptualize me. That is the only difference. Scaling up and scaling down. My ignorance is rooted in the fact that I am here in this scale. But you didn't answer whether you're a pantheist or not. You slimy bastard. These are reasons why I am not an Abrahamic minister and a terrible minister of my own meaningless piece of paper religion. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. I'm going to wrap this up. You win, Reverend Roy Rat. You fucked me up. You destroyed me. You destroyed destroyed me with facts and logic. I couldn't stand up to it. I got demolished. I'm going to end the stream in 20 seconds. Let's see, if what I just horribly described in a horribly vague way can be construed to mean the definition of pantheism, I'm not even sure what that is. I don't know what you horribly described. Not trying to win, trying to demolish you or win. Well, you don't get that choice, because you did. You don't get to make that decision. I have decided. You win. All right, I'm closing out the stream. Ending. Look, there's a whole button for it right here. Check it out. I'm going to play that song that I was playing, and you can listen to that song from the start. It's really bad, but I like it. Okay.